Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to another Drak Reviews. This time a check-in, because it has been a while, and I want to make sure that you guys know that I'm still working on it, but I wanted to give you my thoughts ahead of time before I do the official review, which will be a formal review of Horizon Zero Dawn. And so to give people a little bit of a perspective, when I did the Drak tries, I was loving it. I had no issues with it whatsoever. I thought it was a beautiful game. So that was what I was walking into. I'm about, I want to say, a little over 10 hours into the game. Supposedly, I believe it's like a 16-hour story. So my thoughts so far on the story are it's amazing. It continues to, in my opinion, breathe life into a post-apocalyptic genre. But let me get people up to speed. You've played the character Aloy, who for most of her life has been treated like an outcast, has been shunned by human society in this post-apocalyptic world. And for those who have not seen the trailers and things like that, this is a post-apocalyptic world where for some reason we have mecha animals and humanity is back to kind of a tribal system. So back to Aloy, she's been persecuted and ostracized for most of her life until a fateful day where she actually stumbles upon, literally, a set of ruins from the Metal World. That's what they call like the previous world before this one. And she stumbles across an ancient item known as a focus, which is basically where I think Apple would go with the Google Glass. You put it up on your ear, and then it's just a little computer that can help you analyze stuff and be able to hear audio recordings, images, things like that. And from there on, she decides that she's going... From that point where she goes into the ruins, she then decides to basically take this life of being an outcast and change it, and decides to enter the Proving for a local tribe. And trains for it for the next few years of her life. So you start off as a little kid Aloy, and then you go up to teenage Aloy when she does the Proving. But when she does the Proving and is about to win, they are attacked by an unknown group of an unknown tribe, and most of the people in the Proving are killed. And now it's up to Aloy to figure out why this attack happened and what on earth this new tribe's goal is to try and either destroy the world, remake it, dominate it, however, and thus sets out into the world to figure out their actual reasons, their goals, everything like that. I'm trying to keep it as vague as I can, but as far as the story goes, again, this is breathing new life into the post-apocalyptic genre to me. Like, every post-apocalyptic game that I've played thus far has been zombies are connected in some way. Last of Us included, people. Everybody's zombies. This one decided to go a different direction, have mecha animals, as well as a tribal system. I actually do like that concept, which actually does bleed into the visuals for me. Holy crap, a colorful post-apocalyptic world. I mean that very seriously. I've only been to like a few different atmospheres, but holy crap, we had a desert that reminded me of like Moab, Utah. So stark reds and desert climate and all that. We had vibrant valleys and meadows and all that. And then we also had really cool snow-capped peaks. This is a colorful post-apocalyptic world. And frankly, I'm going to say this. Everybody who's doing a post-apocalyptic game, you should be doing this. I'm sick and tired of the grays, the dark greens, and the browns. I really am. This breathes new life into the post-apocalyptic genre for me. It's very easy for me to get behind. The mecha animals look amazing. It's always cool to be able to go out into the map and find a new animal that you haven't seen before. And they've got tons of variations. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys because discovering them is just as much fun as the story is, in my opinion, for Horizon Zero Dawn. Moving on into the gameplay, that's where things get a little... Well, actually, before I get into the gameplay, there is one visual gripe I have. There is a dialogue system very similar to Mass Effect, and when you get the close-ups on the face, I have noticed some glitches here and there where it doesn't really look like their mouths are moving, their eyes are focused, or anything like that, and that does get a little jarring when you're trying to have these conversations. I get that you're trying to actually, like, show that these are real people, but there are a couple of times where I had Aloy speaking, and it didn't even look like she was moving her lips. It really didn't. Same thing with a couple of the other characters that you come across, but then you have these other characters like Matriarch Tirsa or Rost, who actually, have beards in front of their faces and they look more emotive than Aloy does. And Aloy is the one you follow. So that's my only gripe with it, but aside from that, the visuals are awesome. Gameplay. How do I describe this? It's open world like Zelda. I found it really funny that in the same week I reviewed 2 Zelda type games. Because Horizon does very much play like a Zelda game in some ways. I'm not saying it has a dungeon structure or anything like that, but it does play a lot like a Zelda game. In fact, there are some similarities, in my opinion, to Horizon and Breath of the Wild, but not enough to say that they're the exact same thing. The difference is that this is a sandbox game. It does encourage you to go out into the world, but then you also do have like dialogue trees like Mass Effect. You also do have some segments that feel a lot like Uncharted, minus the QuickTime stuff. So it's kind of hard to nail down the gameplay of this. But unlike other entries that I could bring up, cough, cough, Darksiders 2, cough, cough, this feels all blended into the identity of Horizon Zero Dawn. It feels like this is how she would handle dialogue. This feels completely immersive in the world. Unlike games like Darksiders 2, which ripped me out because of all of the jarring gameplay that it was trying to be like this, and then it was trying to be like this, and that always bothered me with Darksiders 2. Sorry, Darksiders fans, but I calls it like I sees it. But overall, the gameplay is very spot on. The only thing that bothered me with it is there is an emphasis on stealth gameplay. And you can kind of avoid that, but there is an emphasis, especially when you get into certain situations where you are hopelessly outnumbered and you do need to rely on stealth. That's a problem, especially since I'm not really a stealthy kind of guy, but I can see where stealth fans would appreciate this. It's just my own nitpicky gripe, is that I don't really like stealth gameplay. I really would have liked more of a loophole to be able to play the game how I wanted to play it, which was get up in your face and smack them. I get it with the big mecha animals. You want to be able to use your bow and traps and things like that. That helps. But when it came to like the guys he had to deal with, I want to smack him down. I want to lay at the smack it down. I'll be honest on that one. But it's not enough of a gripe to say that gameplay sucks. This is still a great game. Audio-wise, the music I'm enjoying. I cannot speak this game's praises enough, and audio's the same. The voice acting is really well done, as well as the music, although I will say the music likes to be more of a subtle tone, and there are a couple of tracks that I think could have been a little bit louder in the game, and it wouldn't have affected the atmosphere, so to speak. But the voice cast is spot on. I've loved every actress that I've come across in their roles. They feel like the characters. It feels very immersive. Even I'm not remembering their names off the top of my head, but the actress who plays Aloy, I really like how she kind of approaches things. I don't want to say she's like FemShep, where she's like Jennifer Hale, but she does approach things from not only a kind of a blank way to be able to paint it with the dialogue options, but also an inquisitive way. So that at that point, because you're walking into this world just as blind as her. So at that point, it's helpful to have that inquisitive look, that adventurous look to her that I would dare say FemShep doesn't really have, or even male Shepherd for that in that regard. So I really did like that concept. Good work on that gorilla. But also some of the other characters that flesh out this world are spot on. Matriarch Tirsa, her actress is amazing. I love Rost. I can't remember her name. Sona's daughter. She was actually at the Proving. I liked her. All of the actors so far have done really good jobs, including the villain, the leader of the Eclipse faction that you find out later is his name. I thought are all really, really well done. What makes that even better is when you go into the past, they tried very hard to, when you listen to like past audio recordings, to garble it up so that it sounds like ages have passed, but at the same time it sounds clear as day in areas. So I really did like that concept too. Audio, I have nothing but high praises. For replay value and presentation, those I actually tried to lend to an actual review. So I'm not necessarily going to get into those, but obviously you guys are telling I am loving the crap out of this game. It even when it frustrates me, it continues me on. It pushes me to get to that next segment, that next little bit of story that I'm going to be able to get out of this game. And again, I'm not a big post-apocalyptic guy, but this has breathed new life into that kind of genre for me, because it's a colorful world. It's not necessarily relying on zombies or whatnot. It's got new and unique ideas all its own. And I really hope this game is successful enough that we get, if Guerrilla Games wants to do it, get sequels out of it. That would be amazing to me. But let's go ahead and wrap things up with that. So that's going to do with my check-in review of Horizon Zero Dawn. You guys will get the final review as soon as I can get it done. I'm trying to just finish up the remaining story segments so that I have all the assets that I need to do a formal review for Horizon Zero Dawn. And I also will be getting a check-in to you guys soon for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, because I also want to be able to get that in you guys' hands while I finish up the formal review for Breath of the Wild also. And of course, thank you guys so much for continuing to like, comment, and subscribe to my content. I always do appreciate you guys. You guys are what make my channel, not necessarily me. I'm the guy who makes the content, but you guys are the ones that advertise to your friends and family and neighbors and all that to continue to help me to move forward. So thank you guys so much. And of course, I will see you guys next time for the next video.